Yo, what's up guys, this is Sudeep ST here, back with another video. Now, if you did click on this video, it means that you're getting started on mobile photography and you do want to start from the basics. Now, in this video, I'll be covering about 5 basic tips you must know about mobile photography. And it's basically about using your cameras to the fullest, which is mobile photography. So we'll cover those 5 tips in this video. And just for you guys to know, if I'm showing any type of examples which will be simple mostly, it is from this mid-ranger called the MIA3. It has a good camera setup, a 48MP primary camera, an 8MP wide angle, etc. So all the examples I'll be showing is only from this, no flagships, so don't worry about that. So we'll get to the first step, which is to use grid lines while shooting. Now essentially what this means is to use the grid lines available in your camera software to learn more about your framing of your subject. Now you have different type of grid lines, the 3x3 grid line, the 4x4 grid line, or even the golden ratio. Now usually it's the 3x3 grid lines people use, and it always makes a huge difference. Now for example here, you need symmetry in such an image. It's a simple image, but it's nice because it follows grid lines. The structure towards the left aligns exactly at the center of the grid line box, so it looks much more pleasing to the eyes. The same follows over here. The ground, it is centrally aligned and it looks better due to that reason. So following grid lines always helps, so use that. But the help of grid lines doesn't just stop there. It brings us to the second tip, which is to follow the rule of thirds when you take photos. Now what does rule of thirds mean? Well, it basically is as simple as this. It's so that you shouldn't focus your subject just on the center of the frame, but try focusing them in and around the frame, like towards the left where the grid lines intersect at one point, towards the right, or wherever around the frame, but just not at the dead center. Now for a simple example, here is the subject. Yes, the subject is the person, but what if I had placed him in the dead center? It wouldn't be as appealing as this because the background also has much amount of attention here. So he's on the bottom, which makes a big difference. Again here, a simple image to say the least, but I have a sunset which can complement my picture, and I also have my dog. So to cover them both, I place the dog on the right end of the frame, which is on the right end of the grid line. So do follow this method of using rule of thirds. It always helps a lot. Now we'll come to the third tip, which is to select your aspect ratios properly. Now yes, if you see camera apps such as the Google camera or even the MIUI camera or Samsung camera or any camera software out there, you have different options to choose from. You can have the 16:9 ratio, the 3:4 ratio, 4:3, a 1:1 Instagram ratio. You have a lot of ratios to choose from. But what I'm essentially trying to tell you is don't use any of them. You have to take your photos in the normal ratio which your camera software takes it at, because that's where your clarity is at the fullest. You don't have to meddle with this because you always have time and you always have the process of post-production. Open Snapseed or any other app you essentially use for editing and crop it there. If you want a 16:9 version of the photo for your stories, crop it from there, because that has less amount of clarity reduction and detail reduction than just changing your ratio on the camera app itself. That entirely affects the camera's resolution. So yeah, choose your aspect ratios properly. Don't ever choose any other aspect ratio rather than the normal one. Now the tip number 4 would be use a better camera application. Now yes, every single camera application out there by different brands has its own stuff, and the hardware of different phones are different. But what essentially matters at the end is the software you use for the type of images you get out of it. Be it whatever image you take inside your house, outside, you need a proper camera software. The MIUI's recent camera software is good, but what I would suggest is if you have a Snapdragon device, that is, if your phone runs on a Snapdragon processor, go get the Gcam, which is essentially the Google camera port from Pixel devices. It actually makes a hell of a lot of difference because it has a lot of features which can be ported to your phone if your phone directly supports it. Now this device, as I told, the MIA3 supports the Google camera support. So basically it can take over many different features such as night sight, HDR plus enhanced. You have your portrait mode which looks superb on Pixel devices. So this port really helps to bring out the best out of your camera hardware with good software processing. So yeah, you can also play with all of the details and different kind of features in this app. So you should have a better camera application to have better photos too. Now that brings us to the last tip. You must know better about your lenses. See, as I told again and again, there are different phones around in the market, but your phone is what we're concentrating over here. And even in that, you might have different lenses on your phone. Here I have a wide angle lens, a primary lens, and also a depth sensor, but some might have a telephoto lens for it to help. So you need to know which type of lens you're going to use for what photos. You need to know where you're going to use wide angle, where you're going to use your telephoto lens, where you're going to use your normal lens, where you must zoom in, zoom out, where you must know the particular need of the photo actually is. Now, for a simple example, I would say that you should know that wide angle is usually to cover more of your subject when you're taking a photo. If you have something which needs more amount of focus to everything in the area, you can use wide angle. Now also clarity also matters. So if you're taking something like a macro photo, don't just zoom in digitally, go near or use the 2x format which is already available on your phone. Or if you have a telephoto camera, that's even better, because all of this have inbuilt variations which the camera app itself has, so it'll have better clarity. So use wide angles for landscapes, etc., or where your subject is in the frame, but you also need the other subjects to be covered, so use it. So I guess that's it. Those were the 5 tips that I wanted to tell you guys to take better pictures. This is the basics and the starting. I am trying to make this as one episode of the many I'm going to follow this up with. So if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you did find it useful, go ahead and share it with your people. And I think I'll see you in my next one. Until then, this is Sudeep here signing out. Peace out.